Hello, everybody. It is I, Mario Mijares, aka the Blu-ray Bodhisattva. Please don't mind this little drop on my shirt. I was taking my daily dose of Ormus, and some of the Ormus dripped on my shirt, so now it's a little wet stain there. If you don't know what Ormus is, you haven't tried it, highly look it up. Very nutrient dense, powerful supplement. A lot of minerals. It's electrifying. I take a Ormus an Ormus supplement that also has 24 karat colloidal gold in it. And I've been experimenting with it for a little over a month now, and I am liking what I am noticing. Can't really describe it other than it's a subtle uh, shift and enhancement. This colloidal gold. I feel it's been helping me a lot, especially um in concentrating and um finding the words I'm looking for in my mind. Um I've been I've been on quite a journey in terms of the brain, with having brain tumors and certain medications that I've noticed certain shifts in my mental energy. Not a dwindling, not a dumbing down or anything like that. It's just that the synapses are firing differently in my brain, comparative to how I remember myself before having a stroke and dealing with brain tumors. Um, so it's just been an interesting journey, health-wise, with that. Um, Speaking of health-wise and brain tumors, um, as those of you who have known me for a long time, part of my coming out story into this world of disclosure and being of service as an astrologer was how I healed myself from brain tumors. Just a little bit of history on my journey with that. I I had a stroke in 2016, and then in 2018, MRIs revealed I had two benign brain tumors. And don't let the word benign immediately just write off what's having a brain tumor. Because a lot of folks, when they hear that, their first thing they want to know is it cancer or is it benign? And the moment they hear that it's benign, it's like, oh, okay, it's nothing then. It's no big deal then. Um, and that is a frustrating thing to experience from other people when they sort of minimize or write off your experience, um, just because your brain tumor is not a cancerous tumor. Thank God, thank the heavens, it isn't. But it doesn't mean that there isn't something happening as well. And the brain tumor that I had, though it's benign, it's on my pituitary gland. And it is, if you're unfamiliar with the brain, the pituitary gland is known as the master gland in the body, and it's situated underneath the hypothalamus in the brain. And the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland, they work together to create all the hormones, all of the different hormones that your body produces. And where the pituitary gland, known as the master gland, is that gland in your brain, in your body, that's producing the hormones. The hypothalamus is basically the part that's telling your pituitary gland where to send it. So, your testosterone, send it here. Your cortisol and your adrenaline, send it here. Your estrogen and prolactin, send it here into these other glands. And we have a number of different glands in the body. We have the thyroid gland. think my cat just farted. Um, we have the thyroid gland, the adrenal glands, the sexual glands. I'm sure that there's a lot of other glands that I'm currently not thinking of. Anyways, uh, back then, I had a very painful and intense stroke. Um, and it took 2 years of me working with, um, I don't know, biased or prejudiced doctors for them to actually give me an MRI. And the MRI revealing the two brain tumors. Um, those were some very hard and intense years of my life. This was from 26 to 28 and 30 years old, where I was just going through very intense and isolating years of dealing with this health crisis because it was affecting me uh, tremendously. Um, and it's funny because again, going back to how people try to write that off, um, just imagine how comfortable it is to have a little pebble size rock in your shoe. It is uncomfortable. It disrupts your energy, your concentration, all the stuff. You can't run. Your walking is affected until you remove that pebble and you have that relief. Um, so though it's a benign tumor, it is a fucking tumor on my pituitary gland, resting on the octave nerve and creating pressure, and then also creating major imbalance in how my body is producing and sending off the hormones. And hormones are everything. Hormones are everything when it comes to health, mental health, emotional health, physical health, everything. Hormones are so important and can be severely undermined of their significance to your health and your well-being. Um, Moving forward in 2020, when COVID happened, I was going through a number of different epiphanies and realizations about the situation that I was in around my health. Um, it's funny because this video was not meant to be anything about. Actually, it does tie into the astrology that I'm wanting to share with you today. So, 2020, I had a family member who tragically passed away. Um, COVID was happening, lockdowns were happening. Um, I went to a Three Sisters National Wilderness Park, um, located on a mountain, very, very high elevated mountain, beautiful, beautiful mountain, Three Sisters um, mountain in Bend, Oregon. And I went out there to pray, to cry, to connect, to vent, because I was so tired of so much of the bullshit. I actually went there for the summer solstice in 2020. And the energy that moved me to take this sudden trip to the mountain and camp there by myself for a week was the fact that uh, on that particular summer solstice, which also landed on Father's Day, there was a worldwide organized satanic event to perform a satanic ritual. So, all around the world, Satanists all around the world were coming together and organizing to perform a ritual in their respected locations at the same time together during the solar eclipse. And something about that felt really wrong, felt really bad, and I felt this higher, I felt my higher self calling me to counteract that energy, that collective of energy, hijacking or attempting to hijack the solar eclipse. So Um, the moment I found out about that, I said, okay, I need to counteract this spirit. Where do I go? The spirit told me, you need to be somewhere on high elevation. Find a mountain, and I go to Google Maps, and I'm like, which mountains? Show me which mountain to go to, because over in the Pacific Northwest there are tons of massive mountains, and I was guided to Three Sisters. Where in Three Sisters? There's a lot of terrain out there in Three Sisters, so I was guided to a very specific location to go and be there. And I head off. It was like about a 4 or 5 hour drive from where I live in my little 1990 blue Toyota Corolla. And I head off over there days before the solar eclipse. And it was a very profound experience because though I was activated to take physical action to bring me there um, by an external negative phenomenon with this satanic group getting ready to perform this global ritual, upon being there, the mountain, the days before the solar eclipse, the energies of the mountain, which by the way, there really are there really is a powerful divine feminine um trinity happening there. And there's a reason why it's called Three Sisters. I felt it. I saw it in very intense, profound ways. I felt the presence of the Lady of the Lake. I felt the presence of Mary Magdalene. I felt the presence of no, not Mary Magdalene, the presence of Mother Mary, and also felt the presence of White Calf Buffalo Woman um, being on that mountain. It was very, very profound. And so the first few days of me being on that mountain um, was actually me meeting myself and uh, coming to grips with a lot of the pain I had been carrying. I arrived there carrying all my baggage and a lot of things that I needed to process. Things with my health, things with my relationship with the ex-girlfriend back then, things that I've experienced in my family, all of this pain in my personal life, and also all of this pain that I just have absorbed being a highly sensitive, intuitive empath here from the moment I entered this world. Just a lot of stuff. Um, and it was very funny. It was very, 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 very funny because I'm frantic, right? I'm frantically getting ready to make this journey, and I packed my bags. I packed my car with all of this stuff of thinking that I'm gonna need. I have a big hiking backpack. Got the tents, got the blankets, got the propane tanks, all the food, all the gear, hatchets and bells and whistles and all this stuff, right? Because I'm going to journey, high into the wilderness terrain of this mountain and activate my shaman self and counteract this uh um satanic ritual happening. And I remember I get to the mountain and I waste no time. It took a 5 hour drive. I get to the mountain, and when I get there, I don't remember exactly what time, but it was early evening. It was, I think I want to say it was like around 5:30, and I'm there. I park my car. There's a small parking lot on the mountain where you have multiple trails to access, and you're in acres and acres and acres of wildlife, wilderness terrain high up on the fucking mountain. And my mission was to, I think it was like a 4 or 5 mile hike up and down these mountains to near a lake bed. Just I forgot I think it's called Green Lake bed or something like that. And it was a 4 mile hike, and it was still cold up there. There was still lots of snow up there, even though we were moving through the solar eclipse. It was very cold up there. Um, I waste no time. I get my little rucksack, have all my things, and I'm getting ready. And, it's been a long time since I've um, pushed myself in that kind of excursion. It's not new to me, but it had been quite some time because of the health issues I had been going through. And I begin my hike. I begin my ascent in the hike. And I'm the only one there. There's no one there, and I'm hiking and I'm hiking and I'm hiking, and it's high elevation. I didn't allow any time for my body to acclimate to the high elevation. It was very cold. I had way too much gear. I had way too much gear that was necessary for the journey. And excuse me, I hike maybe 2 miles, not all the way in, and it's starting to get dark and colder, and I tell myself, okay, I don't want to complete this hike in the dark. um I need to set up camp. And it's so funny and beautiful at the same time. So here I am in the wilderness, and I have my rucksack, and I'm taking things out, and I'm trying to set up camp, and my blood sugar is all fucked up. The medications that I'm on for the brain tumor, a lot of things going on. My lack of oxygen because of the elevation, and I just push myself to hike higher into the mountain for a few miles. It's starting to get dark. I'm getting woozy and lightheaded, and I'm trying to set up camp. And that's when I was able to have my first cry. I was able to have my first cry and feel the presence, the nurturing, unconditional love of the feminine archetype that was there. And I felt the spiritual energy there with me and speaking to me and allowing me to see myself through their lens. And I've just felt this just this graciousness and this pure unconditional love and acceptance for myself, and seeing myself through their eyes, through their wisdom. It was so simple because in that moment it was just a wounded child there. Um, and I got to laugh, and I got to cry, and I got to remind myself that I need to slow down, that I need to, I don't need to rush myself, that though there really is a global organized satanic event happening, in many ways, I used that and enhanced it in my own mind um, to not create a delusion, but I projected into it a purpose for myself to do that. And I'm not saying that this is bad. I'm not saying that what I was doing was bad, but I'm saying like this was the truth of the subconscious aspects of what I was actually doing. And I was humbled. I was humbled by the elements. I was humbled by my physical limitations. And I was humbled by the powerful spirits that reside in those mountains. And so, with much laughter, I put everything back in my bag, and I said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna sleep in the car tonight." So I walk. back down the mountain to the parking lot. Um, which also keep in mind the parking lot is high on the mountain, you know. Um, and I sleep in my car that night, and it was flipping cold, flipping cold. And I'm just there reflecting and realizing like all the my actions leading up to how I even got there, why I was even there, what was I even doing. And I was up the whole night just sitting in my car. And then the following day, I had a whole new day there. I decided, okay, let's let's calm down now. Um, you know, it's a couple days still before the eclipse. Let's explore. Let's learn this terrain. So because of the cold and everything, I activated my body doing the Wim Hof breathing technique, a lot of breathing technique to get acclimated to the elevation, to get acclimated to the temperature. And I allow myself to just enjoy the elements, to enjoy the nature instead of being frantic about trying to stop a, a hijacking of the solar eclipse. And I got to play. I got to play with the elements, hike into the mountain, swim in the river, enjoy the majestic beauty of the waterfall, and really just connect and find some peace and relax and relieve a lot of stress. And I I ended up sleeping in my car again that night. Um, so I was reframing a lot, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know if I should just go home. I didn't know if I should just go home and all the work that I told myself I needed to do, that I could just do it in the comfort of my own bedroom. But no, there were many reasons why I was guided to be high up on that mountain, because I needed to clear a lot of uh disconnection and disassociation within my own self to arrive there and be humbled and experience a true sense of clarity. And that's what I was seeking there. Um, I On the day of the eclipse, so the previous days I spent all my time exploring this side. And on the day of it wasn't an eclipse. Actually, there was an eclipse. The eclipse was right around that time. Yeah, that's right. No. The nodes had shifted. I think the nodes have shifted. Anyways, um, the summer solstice. So day of the summer solstice, I go and explore another area of the mountain. Um, and I hike a few miles. Um, and I'm barefoot the entire time. And oh gosh, was just such a profound experience I had. And I find this whole area where there are these old lava tubes and lava tunnels on that mountain. And I hike higher up these mountains, off trails, not on trails, off trails. And I felt that I had arrived to the true ceremony. And the true ceremony was had nothing to do. I mean, the true ceremony was um, being held and um, held. How do I find the words? The trees, the trees there. I came upon a circle of trees, and these trees were real beings. All of the trees were, and all of the trees can communicate with one another from this side of the country to the other side of the country through the very vast um, network systems that they have through the wind, through the air, through the roots, through the mycelia, through the pollination, information and communication are happening. And the trees had been observing me for a very long time, a very, very, very long time. They began observing me um, the moment I moved to Oregon, the Pacific Northwest, and I had been learning to see them and connect with them and respect them. And I found this place on that mountain where there were a group of trees there that I could see as actual beings. And they were the true shamans that I was able to be the physical humanoid vessel in actually being an instrument with the nature, with the elements to um, move the attempted hijacking of, this solar eclipse by this satanic ritual. And it was very, very profound. Um, I still see the flashes of just very like instant flashes because her presence and her energy is so intense. It's such a high vibration that where I was and where I am today, I can't fully see her or perceive her only in these intense, very intense flashes. And who I'm talking about is Mother Mary, um, and her unconditional love. So, after meeting with these beings, with these trees, and connecting with the elements, um, I was guided to just be in silence. And so I'm on the mountain on a big slant, and I decided, well, I didn't decide they, together, they basically told me to be and to set up my hammock. So I brought a hammock and I set up my hammock on the trees that I was in ceremony with. And I've never talked about this. I've never talked about this. I was guided to be with these trees. And so here I am, high elevation, just rocking on a hammock on a slant and just able to see the vastness of where I was and to see and connect the oneness of the mountains, of the tree, of the breeze, of the clouds. And every so often, the clouds that would pass by would trickle a few raindrops on me. And it would just be a couple trickling raindrops, pass, no rain, more rain trickles. And I just remained in elements and didn't allow the pressure of my ego personality to complicate it. Oh no, it's raining. I don't have umbrella. I didn't bring rain gear with me. It's going to start to shower. I should move. I just remained and allowed whatever was going to happen. And it was very, very beautiful. And then, and then my mind opened even more, where I received the clarity on how I had been tricked to co-create the suffering and the reality that I was in. Because in a short amount of years, in my 20s, at age 23, I was hit by motor vehicles while riding a bicycle 3 separate times, all in 1 year. 3 years after that, I had a very painful and intense stroke. Um, and there are a lot of details that I could talk about what I was experiencing and going through in that moment. And then 2 years after the stroke is when we found out that I had the brain tumors. So from 23 to 28, just crisis one after the other. And what happened after the stroke and all of the things going on and with the brain tumor and all these things that had just kept happening to me, um, I eventually was beaten down. I was eventually beaten down into submission and moved in a survival fear state reality. And I got to see all of the different ways that I had been tricked by uh, invisible forces, by secret organizations, because I am a targeted individual. I have been a targeted individual since birth. The targeting begins with my mother, and I have been in these programs in military abduction, um, and other programs that I won't dive into. And all of these intense things that had been happening to me were not just by coincidence and were not just for no reason. They were results of targeting and manipulation. And at the same time, there was also a lot of profound spiritual awakenings too, but I was in confusion due to the targeting causing this pain and these confusions. And basically, the way I started to see is how everything that I had fabricated for myself was actually a prison. And I was actually in a prison, a matrix prison. And I realized, okay, I'm at this job, this wonderful job, but I'm at this job because I believe that I need the good money it pays me and the good health insurance that I receive from it so I can keep seeing my doctors because I have a brain tumor. And I also need my insurance to pay for my medication. So now I've come to this point of believing that I need this, and I'm energetically binded to this job. I have this apartment, I have this lease, I've signed my name, my social security number on this contract, and I've energetically binded myself to reside in this apartment that's located in this county, this district of that county, this block, and in cell number 68. That's my prison. They know where I am. I'm locked there. I'm not going anywhere. They're not expecting me to go anywhere because I am in a predictive loop. I'm stuck in a loop. Then I realized my partner at that time, my relationship was not a good one. I was like, this is not real. And all of this is keeping me from truly being sovereign and from truly living the what from truly living what I really believe. And what I really believe is the human body's capability of healing and performing miracles. What I really believe is the power of God's source creator of the elements of the natures. What I really believe is changing my mind and my consciousness and changing my reality and changing what's happening in my brain. And it was a true revelation. And from that moment, being up on that mountain, it was like the winds carried it away. The winds carried away all of the noise, the dark cloud, the frequencies, the voice to skull frequency. It was like it just cleared it all away so I can be with myself and see what it meant for me in that moment to claim sovereignty. And I received greater understanding that there is no black magic, there is no satanic sorcery that is greater than my aligned will, my divine sovereignty, my aligned willpower and sovereignty as a human being on earth. There's nothing. All there is the illusion to trigger the fear state that I'm powerless. There's nothing that is more powerful than the divine, than God's source creator. Nothing. So long as we align ourselves with that and we remember that, and we have no fear, we embody no fear. And that was the completion of the ceremony for me to counteract this world organized satanic ritual. And the my guides and the beings were remained with me for a very long time after that. I was in dialogue communication with them. And um, at the end, in the closing of the ceremony, I make my descent down the mountain. And um, they showed me how to program my body and my nervous system to pick up energies and how to distinguish good from bad. So as I'm walking down, I am being shown and guided on how to wire my nervous system, how to discern certain things that I'm receiving, and what to do about that down the mountain. And then I was revealed also an angel that has been assigned with me for a very long time, and it is Archangel Raphael. And I've never been one of those people who are like Archangel this, Archangel that, and all those sort of things. Like I've respected, I understand it, but I was never really been into this whole like, oh, the angels or the archangels or so, that sort of thing. And um, excuse me, but I had asked, I had asked when I was coming down, I asked, is there an angel assigned to me, or you know, what kind of angel am I? And what came through was Archangel Raphael. And there have also been quite a handful of different times in the months and the years after that time on Three Sisters Mountain in Oregon, where random people confirmed to me that Archangel Raphael is with me here. Like, for example, I was at a conference in Vegas over a year later where um, somebody, a psychic man, just out of nowhere turns to me and says, um, Archangel Raphael is with you. And there's actually a whole team of beings that are constantly keeping their hand on your heart, working with you and protecting you in the work that you do and what you carry with you. Um, and I had about nearly almost broke down crying when he said that, because it's this deep private thing that I'm going through, that I had been going through my whole life, being the uh highly sensitive starseed being that I am in this incarnated form that has this human ego and these conditionings. There's still this purity essence within me, and there's a turmoil with all of that, and it's a complex thing. So yeah, that was very intense. And shortly after that, I left everything behind. I left the job. I terminated the lease of the apartment. I left the relationship. That was a long relationship I was in. I left everything behind, and I took a huge leap of faith into the great unknown, and found found myself in Arkansas. And that's a story for another time, but I found myself in Arkansas. And it wasn't until I was there in Arkansas where I realized, where I learned that Arkansas is actually world capital of quartz crystals, and that there's tons of gold, diamonds, precious minerals. The water there is very sacred. There's a lot of ancient sacred history in the sacred um, Kansas, Arkansas, that is forgotten. Um, and that was my first deployment by spirit, going to Arkansas and being activated and learning even further how to use my gifts in being a grid worker and working with the earth and following her calls, um, and and understanding when I'm being guided to connect and move with the energies. That was my first deployment. Um, I eventually found my way back to Oregon later that year and had another MRI and some blood tests because I had been off the grid. I'd been off the script for months, stopped taking the medications. Just no, I was walking what I believe. And the tumor was gone. My blood work was normal. It was my miracle that I had accomplished. And it was amazing. I had healed myself. Um, and this year, I started to feel unwell again, but it's nowhere near as bad or as intense as it was when it first started to happen. I'm far more powerful. I'm far more in my sovereignty. Uh, and I just noticed that I was feeling certain things. And long story short, the brain tumor is back. And it's actually bigger than it was before. And my hormones are way off. And I've just been experiencing headaches and a lot of neurological things going on, hormonal things going on, and it sort of reactivated certain wounds, of grief, of certain things. But I'm a lot more in my power. I have to process it, and you know, uh, maybe there are maybe there are areas in my life where I've fallen out of alignment. Actually, I have, and I know where I've fallen out of alignment. But I understand it, and it's okay. It's not a bad thing. It's is that after I healed myself, I became very focused on creating what I wanted in my life. I wanted my soulmate. I wanted my life partner. I wanted my home. I wanted to be in a house. I wanted to own land, own property, all these different things that I wanted because in the years where I was going through all those health crises, in those years where I stayed up at night crying, wondering what the rest of my life was going to look like, dealing with injuries from getting hit by cars, dealing with the stroke, dealing with the brain tumor, what was my future? What was the rest of my life going to look like? Am I going to be on disability? Am I going to be this limited, pitiful person? Are things going to get worse? You know, uh, how am I going to grow into abundance if I'm dealing with these limitations? So also there was a period when those things first started happening where I couldn't really work. I was in too much pain. There was too much stuff happening. I didn't have a job. I couldn't work. I was basically homeless for a while, just surviving off the graciousness of my friends and my community. And going through that, I realized, the importance of owning land, the importance of owning your home, because it brings a level of security and peace of mind where no matter what happens, at least you have that. Because that's the one thing I was like, how I'm going through this intense pain and health crisis as a homeless person. I sure wish I had my own place that I owned and I didn't have to pay rent. I didn't have to worry about having to push myself to work while dealing with these ailments just to pay rent. And so now that I was better, that I healed myself, my focus was like, one of my primary objectives were I want my life partner. I want my soulmate, the one who can actually see me, the one that I can be vulnerable with, and the one that can be vulnerable with me, to have a true love. And also, we need our home. We need our foundation. And so these became primary objectives for me. And once I found her, and once we found each other, we became very focused. I became very focused on a lot of things. And there were also a lot of other uh, karmic energetics happening at the same time in her life and in my life. And for me in my life, it was my mother was on the verge of killing herself with her crystal meth addiction. My grandfather was experiencing Parkinson's and dementia. And I got really focused on helping them, helping my family, and saving my mom's life. And there were and we wanted to move out of Los Angeles. And so, whereas before my I was very much in this shamanic embodiment with day-to-day rituals and practice, walking on mountains barefoot, doing Wim Hof method and diving into frozen bodies of water high in the mountain and being really, really connected and activated in that sense, then suddenly came focused in this other sense. And I accomplished a lot. My wife and I, we've accomplished a lot and we've arrived in all of the work that we're doing. And so that's where I've fallen out of alignment, and I'm coming back into my practice. Um, and during that time, I've also picked up some energies that I need to clear out that I'm working on clearing out as well. But anyways, a brain tumor is back. Um, I I'm not sure how to process or even accept this. Um, and I have to balance things out with the physical, factual matter and the spiritual matter. And things are working in my mind right now dealing with this. And it's a very interesting journey. And again, I'm so much more empowered than I was back then. Um, and I don't even at times at times it's not that I'm ignoring it. I'm just not feeding any power or energy into it, but I still feel what's happening. Anyways, um, I share all that because one of the ways that I like to practice my methods of being an astrologer is being very open about my own personal life and how I like to use my own personal life as an example of the transits in the astrology. And this year in 2025, we are going to experience some very profound and intense planetary shifts. Neptune this year is going to step into Aries. the sign Aries, um, beginning his process of starting a new synodic cycle. And Saturn will also be doing the same, hand in hand with Neptune. Neptune will be stepping into Aries at the end of March this year, and Saturn will be stepping into Aries at the end of May this year. And eventually, these two planets will retrograde back into the sign Pisces. And then by 2026, by January and February 2026, these two planets will re-enter Aries, thus fully initiating the new synodic cycle. Pisces is the 12th sign of the zodiac. It is the very last sign of the zodiac. And Aries is the beginning of the zodiac. It's the very first sign of the zodiac. The threshold between Pisces and Aries is very profound because if you look at the zodiac and the whole wheel and how it begins with Aries and the journey through all 12 signs and all 12 houses, this is the journey of spirit and consciousness going through all the different archetypal energies, reaching Pisces, the completion point. And in Pisces, the completion point, it is very spiritual, it is very mystical. And by mystical, I mean that there's a lot of supernatural mystery behind the energy, the archetypal energy of Pisces, because it's the completion stage. And within the completion stage, there's a compression of integrating all of the lessons going through the entire thing. And the thing about Pisces in how, in one of the methods of how to integrate all of the karma and the lessons that have been accumulated is coming to terms with the pain you carry, the spiritual pain you carry that is within your subconscious mind, and certain untrue belief systems you may have inherited, you may have adopted and adapted yourself to, and going through the spiritual cleansing. Pisces is a profound spiritual cleansing energy where we take those that karma and that spiritual pain and transcend into a higher unity consciousness realm. Pisces is that level of purgatory and separation until we are able to move into compassion and forgiveness and surrender. And that brings us to this higher spiritual plane where we get to experience the oneness, we get to experience Christ consciousness. So Pisces is a very mystical, profound energy. And Neptune is the ruling planet of Pisces. So when Neptune is in Pisces, that Piscean Neptunian energy is turned up all the way to 11. And Neptune takes approximately 165 years, give or take a few years, to do one full cycle through all 12 signs. So the last time Neptune was in Pisces was 165 years ago, which was when the Civil War broke out in America. So collectively, we're dealing with that Neptunian journey going through all 12 signs over the last 165 years. And we're dealing with that spiritual work right now, that spiritual cleanse right now. And it's open, and Neptune has been in Pisces since 2012. We're in 2024, we're in 2025 now. So we're going on 13 years of Neptune in Pisces. And Now that Neptune is at the very final degrees of Pisces, and Saturn will soon meet with Neptune going into Aries, we are collectively going through a major completion cycle of karma and energy that ripples from hundreds of years into the past. And it's mysterious and it's mystical and it's supernatural, meaning that what we are going through right now as a collective, there are um it's hard to explain. It's like imagine imagine not knowing what ghosts are, and there's a poltergeist in your home and there are things happening, and imagine knowing that there are things happening but having no understanding that there is another side, that there is a veil, that there is another side, and that there are other energetic essences that are colliding with yours, and you're experiencing a phenomenon. And so that's sort of what this is like as a collective. And what makes this even more interesting is just a couple of days ago, the North and the South node have switched. The North and South node are the only things in astrology that move in reverse. The planets, they all move together this way with respects to their retrogrades, but the nodes are always moving in reverse motion. And just a few days ago, the North Node moved from 0 degrees Aries into 29 degrees Pisces. The South Node moved from 0 degrees Libra into 29 degrees Virgo, which means that as Neptune and Saturn get ready to move into Aries, they first cross over the North Node, activating a portal of moving into a new experience of dealing with these Piscean energies. And how this relates to the story of myself that I shared at the beginning of this is what I was going through when I was like, oh my gosh, I need to drive to the mountain. I need to pack my bags. I need to hike miles into unknown wilderness terrain that I've never explored before. I'm so fucking out of shape. I'm on these medications. I'm in high elevation. I didn't even allow myself to acclimate to the elevation. I'm just pushing myself because there's this I've created this structure, this belief in my subconscious that is true and aligned with certain things, but there are subconscious aspects of my ego and my pain body in it as well. Therefore, there's distortions in what I'm experiencing here, where the divine and the Holy Spirit is here with me, but it's more so holding space and observing me as I meet myself, as I come to the awakening of how I'm here right now as a wounded child of God Source Creator, and move to this space of loving myself, of accepting myself, and also forgiving myself and forgiving the world and all other things. And so collectively, it's like we're 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 going through that same type of experience right now as a global society, where people like me and you, doesn't matter what part of the world you're in, Australia, Japan, China, New York, Los Angeles, Europe, the people of Earth, and I'm not talking about the governments, I'm not talking about the global elites or the ruling powers, the people of Earth, we're all experiencing a collective echo, an echo of the memories of the pain and the wrongdoings that have been happening for hundreds of years with the the crusades, with the colonization, with the rising and falling of empires, with the falling of the Incan Empire, the Mayan Empire, the Aztecs, the Aboriginals, the Welsh, the the Finnish people, the all these indigenous people where we were once very much aligned and living in our own unique divine blueprint harmonics, there came this darkness. There came this dark energy that created a lot of death and persecution and sacrifice, where everyone became a displaced refugee, where everyone had to forget their mother tongue, their language. Everyone had to forget their own unique way of connecting with the spirits and learning their true name. And we've gone through a massive identity crisis over the years, and we've forgotten the pain of our ancestors because we've through the last several recent generations have been acclimated and conditioned into this current uh, societal paradigm where we are susceptible to propaganda from birth within the public educational systems, within the cartoons and the music and the foods and the political systems. We've we've experienced amnesia of all the things that happened. You know, how are we supposed to remember? How am I supposed to remember if I have direct lineages within my bloodline that experience raping and pillaging in the Andes Mountains of Peru when the Spanish conquistadors were coming in and destroying that empire? Where did that emotional energy go? Because obviously we're still here, we've survived. All of these things are within the DNA. And with Pisces being this mystical, spiritual energy where there is a compression of all of the previous 11 signs, and that energy and that karma being compressed to be experienced, to be spiritually experienced, because Pisces is a mutable sign and all about experiencing. And Neptune and Saturn being here, we're going through a very intense period right now where having the full wherewithal of what we are actually feeling and seeing is complicated. Um, and so it's like us people around the world are experiencing, the same thing that I was going through when I felt this pressure of finding a mountain to go to and telling myself I need to fight these satanic people all around the world that are trying to hijack the solar eclipse and perform this ritual together, only to find myself arrive to the mountain, um, nearly passing out of exhaustion and lack of oxygen, to just be humbled by the elements and the true power of nature, and finding that area of myself where I need to just laugh and be humble and forgive myself and take that time to process what's happening inside of me. What am I dealing with? What am I angry at? What is my pain? And coming to terms with that, only to then meet the trees, meet the true beings, and arrive to the ceremony to do that work where I can then be permitted to see them, be permitted to enter that space, that holy sacred space, and receive the wisdom and the reminder, the reminder, because we collectively know a lot of things already intellectually. We are collectively so aware of so many proverbs and truths and high spiritual philosophies and principles. Intellectually, we all get a lot of the things, but for the most part, it's not truly integrated into our beingness. It's not. It's not. I can admit it for myself, and I hope you can too. Because there's a lot of reflections and things we need to still process within ourselves, and it's okay. And that's why we need to be willing and ready to actually fully see ourselves the way these higher beings see ourselves, as just children, and to find that acceptance and that forgiveness and true humility. We get these things intellectually, but truly coming to that point of embodying and integration. And here's the thing: staying integrated, because it's not like I'm integrated, therefore it's done, I'm now a master. No, it is continuing to be consistent in that work, in staying integrated, because there is constant deviations and distractions and forces always wanting to trick you and pull you out of alignment, pull you out of integration. Okay. I'm dealing with my own stuff, that I won't open up and talk about. Okay. Um, but here we are. And we need to remember that there is no black magic, there's no satanic sorcery, there is no anything evil that is more powerful than God's source creator, that is more powerful than your divine free will. There is nothing more pure and greater than your divine inheritance as a human being on this earth. Because all of us that are here right now, we are the ultimate champions of our ancestral bloodlines. We are the ones that are here through all of the different eras of survival. And we're coming to this position of clearing this dream spell and waking up out of the amnesia and awakening the true spiritual warrior and figuring out how to come together. We're moving into this new process now of changing the world. And everything we've been experiencing over the last several years have been strategic, tactical attempts to deviate as many people as possible from activating and remembering and keeping them in this homeostasis within the inverted matrix program. And going back to 165 years ago, when actually, now is the time where I'm going to read to you an article that I wrote. This article is on my Patreon. And for those of you that are with me here, that are still listening to this and genuinely interested in and paying attention to this story that I'm sharing with you guys, thank you. I appreciate you guys here. I'm really trying to come from this true, authentic place of just sharing and pointing things out. I'm not a guru. I'm not a master. I'm not a leader. Okay. I'm just a person here wanting to express these things, hoping that it can positively impact or activate any, hoping that it's relatable to anybody that may have or is going through the same type of struggles that I have been through, going through that same pain, that same confusion of crisis after the other, all of these things happening. And coming back to their divinity, coming back to their own power and awakening themselves. Excuse me. So, this is my Patreon account. Uh, I am working on building community. So if you feel called to become a member, I'm still working on my tiers, but right now, highly recommend joining the full moon ceremony tier, where we will come together, talk about the full moon once a month, and build community. We'll break down the transits, and we'll also get to talk just amongst ourselves as people. I am holding that space to build this community. Or you can be a free member, and this is where I'll post articles and videos that I'll make available for free. Or you can just, or you can decide to just be a donating member, where you can donate a minimum of $5 a month, just to show gratitude and appreciation for the work here I'm doing. Because this article that I wrote, Saturn and Neptune dancing between eras. This article took me about 12 hours of research, meditation, and concentration, and a lot of editing and finding the words to create that. I spent a whole 12 hours to create this article, with the intention of it being of service to you, to helping you understand the astrology and the patterns that we are in right now. And it's an act of love. It's a work of love, but it is energetically consuming. Um, I spent an entire day creating this. So if these benefit you, if you like them, if you're interested, then I would very much appreciate it if you became at least a donating member of $5 a month. And all of you who do become a donating member of at least $5 a month, because of your act of generosity to just donate without really receiving a service other than the free content, you will get a 10% discount to all my readings. And that's my way of also sharing gratitude here and supporting me. And that 10% discount only applies to that $5 donation tier, because you're opening up your heart, you're opening up your wallet to just give me $5 a month. I would love to give you a discount on my reading and services. So here we go. I wrote this on Friday, took me all day, and I posted it Saturday, the 11th, January 11th. Saturn and Neptune dancing between eras. 2025, a year of endings and beginnings. 2025 is a year of endings and beginnings. We are guided to awaken the warrior in our hearts, to walk the path of our desires and dreams. This year, ghosts from the past may return in various ways, whether they are skeletons in your closet, or remnants of vibrations existing in the memories of your DNA, or brain tumors you dealt with already. People may be vulnerable and prone to shapeshifting or possession, entering rare forms of consciousness. A channel is being created to guide healing and correcting of old karmas. All the while, the warrior within is taking over with passion and impatience to become the master of your reality. It will be a time of truly discovering what is meant to what it means to fight for what you believe in. Saturn enters Aries May 24th till September 1st. Saturn will retrograde and re-enter the sign Pisces, eventually moving forward into Aries by February 2026, and will remain in Aries for the next 2.5 years. Neptune enters Aries March 30th till October 22nd. Neptune will re-enter Pisces, eventually moving forward into Aries January 26, 2026, and will remain in Aries until the year of 2039. These two planets moving back and forth from the 12th sign of the zodiac to the first sign is why I titled this article Dancing Between Eras. Understanding Piscean energy. Pisces is the final sign of the zodiac and is deeply associated with themes of karma, cycles, suffering, and sacrifice. This sign embodies a complex array of emotions and experiences that often revolve around the collective unconscious. It represents the culmination of the spiritual journey, where individuals confront their past and their emotional weight they carry. In the context of suffering, Pisces is often seen as the archetype of the martyr, the one who bears pain for the sake of others. This is exemplified in the figure of Jesus Christ, who is often viewed as the ultimate representation of Piscean energy. His life and sacrifice epitomize the themes of unconditional love, compassion, and selflessness. Jesus' passion and crucifixion symbolize the profound suffering that can lead to redemption and spiritual awakening. Jesus had Uranus, Neptune, Sun, Venus, Saturn, and Black Moon Lilith all in Pisces. The Piscean energy encourages individuals to confront their own suffering and the suffering of others. It invites a deep empathy and understanding of the human condition, often leading to feelings of victimization or martyrdom. Those with strong Piscean placements may feel an intense drive to alleviate the pain of others, sometimes at the expense of their own well-being. This duality is a hallmark of Piscean energy, where one must navigate the balance between self-care and self-sacrifice. Moreover, Pisces governs the concepts of oneness, urging individuals to transcend the ego and recognize the interconnectedness of all beings. This spiritual awakening often involves facing one's subconscious fears, guilt, and shame, elements that can feel like purgatory before achieving a higher state of consciousness. As we transition through the Saturn-Neptune cycle in Pisces, we may witness a collective reckoning with these themes. Societal issues such as suffering, inequality, and injustice may come to the forefront, urging individuals to take action and advocate for change. The energy of Pisces will challenge us to confront these realities and inspire acts of compassion and understanding. The planets Saturn and Neptune will be dancing back and forth from Pisces to Aries. It's important to remember that Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac, while Aries is the first. The zodiacal wheel consists of 12 signs and corresponding houses, representing stages of evolution in consciousness. Every time a planet enters Aries, it starts a new synodic cycle. The further the planet is from the sun, the longer its cycle. Saturn takes approximately 30 years to complete one cycle through all 12 signs, while Neptune takes 165. Saturn and Neptune starting a new synodic cycle together is rare and significant. For context, the last time Saturn began a new synodic cycle was 165 years ago, from 1861 to 1875. Furthermore, the last time Saturn and Neptune were in Pisces together was between 1524 and 1526, 500 years ago. For scholarly reasons, we should also note another occurrence from 12,000 to 12,002, 823 years ago. Thus, Saturn and Neptune in Pisces together is a very rare cycle. And as we transition from the previous two cycles, they will cross into Aries, the first sign of the zodiac, nearly hand in hand. Historical context of Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. Out of respect for Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, let's delve into the two previous times they were together. In in the years 12,000 and 12,002, the start of the 13th century, the Fourth Crusade began with the signing of the Treaty of Venice between the Crusaders of the Doge of Venice and Enrico Dondolo. The treaty provided transportation and supplies for a Crusader army attack on Egypt. At the same time, Manco Capac, the first Inca emperor, oversaw the construction of the city-state of Cusco in Peru, marking the beginning of a significant civilization. From the 16th century, 1524 to 1526, Spanish conquistador Francisco Pizarro began his expedition that resulted in the fall of the Inca Empire, forever changing South American history. This period also saw the uprising known as the Peasant War in Germany, where peasants demanded freedom from nobles and landlords, resulting in the deaths of around 100,000 peasants. The symbolism of Saturn and Neptune. Saturn represents traditions, authority, discipline, and structures such as government and corporate systems. In contrast, Neptune embodies transcendence, spirituality, belief systems, and the subconscious mind. The interactions between these two planets highlight a tension between traditional values and emerging new beliefs. From May 24 to September 1st, 2025, Saturn will be in Aries, while Neptune will be in Aries from March 30th to October 22nd. These months will be crucial for tapping into personal truths and forging paths in life. Expect significant changes that may push you out of your comfort zone, inspiring you to stand up for what you believe in. Just like how I came to terms that my old world structure was made of false belief systems and trickery that I consented and co-created, I then decided to walk away from all of that and step into the great unknown, going to Arkansas. The sign of Aries, new beginnings, and the warrior spirit. Aries, the first sign of the zodiac, is synonymous with new beginnings and the pioneering spirit. Ruled by Mars, Aries embodies the essence of the warrior, instinctively reactive, courageous, and unafraid to face conflict. This sign represents raw, authentic individual expression, encouraging people to embrace their true selves and pursue their desires with vigor. Excuse me. As we enter a new synodic cycle with both Saturn and Neptune in Aries, we are stepping into an era where individuals are called to rise as sovereign warriors in their lives. Aries inspires us to take initiative, break free from limitations, and actively shape our destinies. This energy is characterized by a fierce desire to assert oneself and to stand boldly for one's beliefs and principles. Saturn's presence in Aries will introduce a sense of seriousness and sobriety regarding our attitudes and actions, especially in the face of the mundane imbalances present in global society. This influence will urge individuals to take responsibility for their choices and to confront the challenges they encounter with maturity and discipline. Those who may have previously shied away from conflict may find themselves compelled to engage and advocate for change. Because Saturn is a worldly planet, it is also likely that individuals will have to learn to come together to face the challenge of the corrupt governing systems of our world. Conversely, Neptune in Aries will ignite a passionate fire in the hearts of authentic and aware individuals, encouraging them to recognize the divine spark within themselves. This energy will summon the bold courage necessary to fight for truth and justice, inspiring a collective movement towards liberation and transformation. The combination of Saturn's grounding influence and Neptune's visionary inspiration creates a powerful dynamic that can lead to significant societal shifts. Historically, we can look at the American Civil War as a poignant example of this dynamic. During this tumultuous period, the entrenched belief systems that dehumanized enslaved individuals were fiercely challenged. The conflict represented a critical turning point where one part of society clung to traditional views of superiority and oppression, while the divine fire of justice and equality sparked a new beginning. The Civil War marked a profound shift in social consciousness, paving the way for a more equitable society in the centuries to come. As we embrace the energies of Aries, we are called to channel our inner warrior, confront injustices, and advocate for a world that recognizes the dignity and worth of all individuals. This new era invites us to embody the courageous spirit of Aries, standing up for our truths and fostering a society rooted in compassion, equality, and empowerment. This will be a very hard and scary period for people who cannot wake up and see the truth and rather cling to their delusions and lack of maturity and conditioning. The interconnection of historical events and the Piscean themes. The Fourth Crusades and the rise of the Incan Empire, juxtaposed with the fall of Rome and the eventual decline of the Incan Empire, reflects the profound and often tumultuous themes associated with the age of Pisces. This era has historically been marked by idol worship and the rise of major religious movements, including Christianity and Islam, which shaped the spiritual landscape for humanity. The coming and crucifixion of Jesus Christ epitomized the Piscean ideals of suffering, sacrifice, and the quest for transcendence. During the age of Pisces, the duality of human experience has been highlighted. On one hand, the longing for unity and spiritual awakening, and on the other hand, the painful realities of suffering and disillusionment. The Crusades illustrates the deep-seated conflicts between belief systems, often leading to violence and displacements. Similarly, the rise of the Incan Empire showcased a spiritual and cultural flourishing, only to be followed by the brutal conquests that ultimately led to its fall, a cycle of creation and destruction that resonates with the karmic themes of Pisces. In our modern context, we observe a striking parallel with the plight of refugees displaced by war, persecution, and economic strife. The global elite often prioritize profits over people, perpetuating systems of oppression that mirror the historical conflicts of the past. As we navigate through the Saturn Sun transit, there is a growing awareness of the need for a spiritual awakening, one that calls for spiritually sovereign individuals to reclaim their truths and connect with our galactic history, including the existence of non terrestrial beings. Many are beginning to realize that society has been trapped in a dream spell, preventing us from fully realizing our divine potential as a species capable of remarkable feats. As Jesus Christ indicated, we are all capable of performing miracles, perhaps even greater than those attributed to him. Today, we are witnessing what can be described as a holy spiritual war. The pervasive presence of satanic symbolism in movies, music, and media reflect a strategic attempt to invert and pervert humanity's consciousness. This manipulation serves to deepen the disconnection from our true essence and communal unity. The duality of Neptune in Pisces embodies both the potential for unity through Christ consciousness and the descent into suffering and sacrifice, illustrating how this period is also fraught with deception, illusion, and disassociation. Amidst the attacks on humanity, whether through environmental degradation, food and water poisoning, or other insidious agendas, there remains a profound disassociation in society. The weight of the reality we face is often too intense for many to bear. Thus, they cling to the illusion that all is well, without a true collective uprising to defend humanity. We remain divided by superficial ideologies surrounding race, gender, and other dialectical narratives. This fragmentation prevents us from recognizing the urgent need for solidarity in the face of a global spiritual war. As we navigate this complex landscape, it is essential to remember that the Piscean themes of suffering and sacrifice also pave the way for healing, unity, and spiritual evolution. The challenge lies in transcending the illusions that bind us, empowering ourselves and each other to rise above the conflicts that divide us, and embracing our shared humanity in the pursuits of a higher collective consciousness. A conclusion, a call to action. The previous periods I mentioned, the 13th century and the mid 16th century, were deeply transformative. The last time Neptune was in Aries 165 years ago, coinciding with the American Civil War, a time of great societal division and conflict over slavery. Aries, being the sign of the warrior and new beginnings, symbolizes the fighting spirit to live authentically. In 2025, as Saturn and Neptune enter Aries, we can anticipate more conflicts arising from differing beliefs and perspectives. This year invites us to embark on a journey of self-discovery, ending cycles of suffering passed down through generations. People will have to take a lot, excuse me, people will have to take a look at the deep wounds in their subconscious mind and realize how they have been manipulated. For example, the issues with transgenders. There is an obvious deep psychological wound in many of the people who see many of the people we see who believe they are women when in fact they are biologically men. This is what I mean about perverted and inverted belief systems. They advertise to our children, influencing them to believe in things they yet to understand, when deep down there may actually be some sort of trauma or illness. Same goes for spiritual communities. For example, people chasing their own twin flames only to be disappointed that the other person does not accept the true flame identity, yet somehow the spiritual person will still cling to the belief that the other is their twin flame. This is a delusion. And for the record, the whole transgender thing, I believe there are true and real authentic transgenders. I'm talking about the agenda using transgender identity politics and trying to influence children, medicate children, castrate children is fucked up, and where there are actually biological men that think that they can get pregnant and have periods. This is a delusion. This is a distortion. This is not a disrespect to any and all transgenders. There are things that are not right about this whole thing, and there's an oversensitivity about talking and trying to point out anything about this. So I'm trying to come from a compassionate, loving place. I know transgenders. I'm friends with transgenders. I have a transgender sibling. I don't think they're all mentally ill or retarded, but there are things there, and we need to collectively come to this point where we can realize that there are things happening in this phenomenon, in this movement. Continuing on with the article. The nodes of fate, a call to spiritual awakening. In January, the nodes of fate will shift into Pisces and Virgo, with the North Node in Pisces and the South Node in Virgo. The nodes govern the accumulation of karma from the past, including past lives, and they illuminate our destiny and the unknown terrains of future lessons. The South Node serves as a gateway to past life experiences, while the North Node acts as a guiding light, encouraging us to overcome karmic patterns and embrace new experiences for spiritual evolution. The North Node's placement in Pisces will conjunct Neptune and Saturn in Pisces before they transition into Aries later this year. This alignment literally opens portals for the accumulation of karma linked to the themes of service, sacrifice, and disassociation, allowing these energies to interface with our current events. The phrase, "it will be biblical," reflects the gravity of this moment as we collectively navigate a crucifixion, a processing of centuries of historical narratives that have shaped humanity. from the rise and fall of great empires, including the Incas, Mayans, and Aztecs, to the injustices faced by the Aboriginal, the indigenous peoples, the echoes of these events resonate within our DNA. Each man, woman, and child on this planet carries the weight of these memories. The year 2025 presents a climatic period for spiritual cleansing and reclaiming our power. Unlike previous eras, we now have access to vast information through the internet, making it increasingly difficult to deceive or manipulate the masses. As awakened individuals shine their light, we are moving closer together as a species, fostering a collective consciousness that seeks truth and justice. The Peasant War of 1524 serves as a historical reference point, yet today's context is different. In America, we are equipped with the rights enshrined in the Constitution, such as the Fourth Amendment, the right to bear arms, and the First Amendment, which guarantees freedom of speech. While citizens may not have access to military-grade weaponry, the potential to resist and fight for justice remains. It is essential to note that while we may not be destined for bloodshed or civil war, the intensity of conflict will be palpably felt across the nation. This moment is a race against time for humanity to awaken from the dream spell, a collective liberation from the perverted inversion of the Masonic satanic matrix paradigm. As we navigate this transition, it is crucial to focus on uniting as a collective force, transcending superficial divisions, and recognizing that our true power lies in solidarity. The challenge is to harness the transformative energy of the North Node in Pisces, embracing compassion, healing, and spiritual growth while confronting the shadows of our past. Be brave, be bold, and embrace the historical transformations that are about to unfold. Many structures will be recreated, and this is your call to participate in the shaping of a new reality. P.S. These articles and posts will soon only be available for paying Patreon members. For now, I will continue to publish articles and videos for free, but there will be a time where only Patreon members can access. It took a lot of time, research, and concentration to create this article. Also, if you want to know how these major transits will be impacting you personally, please book a reading and I will be honored to be of service to you. As I always say, love and light, death and darkness, we are a full spectrum. This video has been long enough. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your support. I love you all very much, and may you have a wonderful day. May you follow the light. May you follow your guidance. May you do this work to transcend out of your current samsara paradigm, and may we all collectively realize with clear eyes what we need to do together as a human race to take our planet back. Peace.